Good evening. Welcome to the latest live edition of That's About Boxing. A few technical issues for myself tonight, so no visual, which I'm sure you won't be too much complaining about, to be honest. So, good evening to, Darren Ashton. Let's talk about Tyrone Mings for 2 seconds. What a great performance last night.
Well, I'm going to speak as it is and say, yeah, it was diabolical. There's no beating around the bush here. He's been poor since he's come back. But I didn't think it was a boxing show.
Well, you need to stop posting outrageous comments on Twitter as well about Birmingham being the mecca of boxing. You know, I nearly dropped off my chair when I read that. Moving on. Good evening, Sean.
Good evening, Carl. Good evening, guys.
Is he there?
No, he's dropped off again. Brilliant. We're off to an absolute flyer here, aren't we? We could be waiting quite a while for him, so just so people aren't sat waiting for him to get his connection back, we'll wait for Carl to try and come back into the room. He's given us a running order anyway, so we may as well just crack on without him and just see what we can get done. First thing that we were going to talk about this weekend was the massive card in Philadelphia this weekend from the Wells Fargo Center. Two Kings, it's been billed as for quite some time, and that's exactly what they are. They're the two fights we'll take you through this evening. Probably better to start with the Bam Rodriguez one, I think, personally. He's got Pedro Guerrava, 42-4-1, veteran of the sport for the WBC Super Flyweight Championship of the World. Darren, do you want to take this for the first few comments? Bam Rodriguez, he's been cited as a legend slayer in recent years with everybody that he's beaten. He's put Estrada away, he's put Rungvisai away. You name it, he's beaten them. Chocolatito. We've got a superstar in our hands here, haven't we?
Very much so, and I'm expecting him to carry on in full flow this weekend. I mean, I think it's a decent enough fight, but like you say, his opponent, sort of like billed as a veteran of the sport. I love Bam. I mean, I was just having a look at the old box record, and having a look at like his last 6 fights, he's had like a couple of UDs, he's had some stoppages, but obviously the Brits will know him for his for taking apart Sonny Edwards. I mean, that was an excellent fight, but a lot of people here were billing Sonny Edwards up to be a guy that could like potentially halt Bam Rodriguez, and he was nowhere near happening. Yeah, I love everything about him. I think he's exciting to watch. Great puncher, technically brilliant, and I'm expecting him this weekend to carry on in great fashion. I would like to think he'll get a stoppage victory.
Yeah, he gets fantastic eyes on the sport, doesn't he, Bam?
Yeah.
Is he back? You joining us again?
He's not.
He's not. I can hear clicking.
I think he's trying his hardest.
He's trying his hardest. He does try, folks. He does try to be on. It's been about 6 weeks since he's been on a Thursday, but we'll let him off. Sean, so many of these Mexican fighters that we see, the veterans of the sport, they always come with quite like high records. They come in 30 wins, 40 wins, 50 wins. It's just the style that they fight over there. You get these guys from these parts of Mexico who will fight every 2 or 3 months and build that record up. Andrew Maloney's, of course, the standout victory for him. That's where he got the interim title for this, and obviously mandates himself to fight Bam Rodriguez. Assess his chance against Bam here on Saturday night. Is this just another guy that Bam's going to blow over?
I think he will, unfortunately, and it's a bit of a shame that the guys in this weight, they don't really get the limelight and the fame and fortune they deserve, in my opinion. Because I think, you know, this is a weight in particular which is really strong in boxing at the moment, and I think Bam will overcome him and be too good, as you articulated there. I think with Bam, it's going to take someone like Inoue to really challenge him, and I know there's a bit of a weight disparity between the two, but I think that will be the sort of real challenge we'll see, and let's be honest, I'm sure it's a fight that we all want to see too.
It is, and that was going to be my question for you, Hakan. We've seen Inoue now blast through everybody within a self radius with him around super bantamweight for the last 3 or 4 years, and likewise we've seen the exact same from Bam Rodriguez. Do you think that's a fight that's gonna end up being the eventual for these two? Is that sort of they're all gonna the two divisions are gonna get very stale very quickly if they keep doing what they do, and we need to see those two fight?
I think it will take a few years, maybe 3 or 4 years, until we can see that fight. I think Nakatani fight could happen for Bam earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely, and that's a really good fight to have happen. So we'll just go through predictions then for this fight between Rodriguez and Guevara. I'll keep it with you, Håkan. Is this an easy night's work for Bam?
I don't think it will be easy night's work, but I think Bam will stop Guevara, and the first stoppage loss for Guevara in his career. He has lost 4 times, but it has been on points in his losses, and he he did well to go to Australia to win on away soil to get the interim title. So I think it will be a good fight. I think Bam will stop him round 8, round 9.
Yeah, and you alluded to it there that it was a very good, deserved win against Maloney on away soil. So many times we've seen these scorecards, haven't we? Just all over the shop. And I was watching that fight, and I was just expecting Maloney to just get that decision. But a stoppage for you as well, Darren. We heard you think that he's going to stop him. Sean, just to double check, do you think this one goes 12 rounds, or is Bam going to get this guy out of there quickly?
No, I think it'll be a late stoppage, much like what Håkan said there, really, sort of around 9, 10 potentially. I think it'll be sort of a bit of a one-sided fight, and I think Bam will get to him late on.
Yeah, I'd say that's where you want to hedge your bets really this weekend. I remember just before the Estrada fight, I gave Estrada a chance in that fight, and I thought that was the time that we were going to finally see Bam force these 12 rounds and see him really tested. But the last 2 fights, between the way he got Estrada and Sonny out of there, he's an absolute war machine, isn't he? Really, really looking forward to seeing him fight in the early hours on Sunday, and I think that it's going to be around a 5th round stoppage as well. Main event then, very, very fun little main event this as well. Second fight under the Matchroom banner for Boots Enis, who defends his IBF welterweight championship of the world against Karen Shakadian, 24-2. He's been around the block for quite some years as well, fighting quite a lot around Europe, Germany, Spain. He's been busy. Darren.
Yep.
Very few fighters possibly ahead of him in the top 10 pound for pound rankings these days on the list of many. I'm not too sure if you have him in there, just on the floaty bit, maybe a bit further back. I'm sure you're excited to see this lad back on Saturday night, though.
Yeah, as always. I mean, he's, again, what we said with Bam, brilliant fighter, brilliant puncher, some great power. I mean, this guy he's fighting, I'm not going to try and pronounce his name because it'll come out all wrong. But this guy, he's been in with him before, beat him on a unanimous decision. It was a comfortable win. He gets his chance again. But I just when you look at he's the guy's last fight, Harry Scarf to Boots Enis. There's a big, golfing class there. And I just think Boots Enis, I think this time we'll be looking to take him out rather than get a points victory. And I'm hoping, I know it was only 2023 when he beat him last time, but I'm hoping in that space of time between then and now, he's matured enough as a fighter to try and put him away this time. And I'll probably expect him to about probably between 6 and 9, something like that.
You have been doing a lot of these Birmingham shows recently, and you'll be very affiliated with the local fighters. Obviously, get quite a bit of support. This is Enis's back garden. We're expecting there to be quite some fans in there, and he's someone who's drawn massive crowds in this Philadelphia area. That's only going to work in his favor as well, surely.
Oh yeah, of course. It's always a big thing, and he's a great ticket seller. And I'm looking for the way he sells tickets where he's from, and I look at fighters who he could fight and that. I want to see him go on after this now and fight like a name. Like, you know, I mean, we've all spoke about, like, you know, Conor Benn before, whatever. I'd love to go in and see him and fight a name. I mean, even we discussed this on Sunday's show just gone, you know, even Echo Esserman was calling him out. I mean, you know, it's a bold call that, but I would like to see him fight some kind of British name next, or a good name to cement like where he is. Like you said earlier, I just want to see like a big name cemented for him. That's what I think he needs to go next.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the talent is there. Now I think it's just a case of profiling so that he can have the two things and really start to become a superstar, especially if he ever gets back to the west coast of America. Håkan, Karen Chikagian's gone through the IBF rankings to get this opportunity, very traditional way. He's taken interim belts, intercontinental titles. He's built his way up the rankings to get himself into this position. Harry Scarf, obviously, the win last time out there, good enough points win to get rid of him. This is a huge step up, though, isn't it? How do you see this one playing out on Saturday?
I think Boots Enis will stop Chikagian really early, round 3, round 4 for me. When they fought last time, Boots Enis won every round on all judges, 120, 108. And but this time he will stop Chikagian really early, round 3, round 4.
Very confident pick. I like to hear that. Very, very good. Sean, there's been 2 fights for Boots Enis since the first fight. I should have mentioned this at the start. Obviously, they fought before at the start of 2023. Romain Villa and David Avanesian, the two that Boots Enis has got out of there inside the distance. Much of the despair, I'm sure, of Carla Handy, that David Avanesian was just too outclassed. I would probably personally have Chikagian slightly higher than the last couple of opponents that he's fought, so I think it is a step back in the right direction, but it still feels like a bit of a mismatch to some degree. How one-sided do you think this might be?
Yeah, like how the guys have already touched on, really. They've already fought once, and it was a commanding victory for Boots. So I see this fight going the same way, to be honest. And as you just touched on there, Harrison, he needs sort of a big name or someone to really elevate him, because we've heard for quite a while now from the hardcore fans like ourselves that he's going to be the next star of US boxing. But now he needs that opponent to really elevate him and to put him on the pedestal where he is the next sort of Garcia. He is the next Terence Crawford. He needs to prove it now. So I think he'll come through this fight comfortably flying colours. I think he'll get the stoppage, and then let's see if he does fight a big name next.
That's all that we're really looking to see here. So everybody thinks that this isn't going the distance like it did in the first fight. And again, it's really difficult to agree. I think that in the last year, Enis has developed even more and more as a fighter. And for me, a good win here might just put him inside the top 10 in the pound for pound lists as well. Very excited to see if he does exactly that. Are you joining us now?
Yeah, up to now anyway, yeah. So
Goodness
fingers
me.
crossed. Where are we, Alison? Thank you for taking the reins. Where are we?
No worries. I'll charge you for the overtime. We've just finished up with the Boots Enis card there.
Okay, send the invoice to Darren Ashton, won't you? So, thank you very much for covering that. Obviously, I think it's a one-sided card just for my little bit. I think that, you know, Rayford, Bam, Enis will all win quite easily. So moving on to the next topic, we covered this a little bit on Sunday. I know Harrison gave me a bit of a jab there about not being on a Thursday, but he wanted Sunday to cover this either, so 1-1. So let's start with Harrison, seeing he couldn't be bothered to get there on Sunday, because I believe you might have been hungover, Harrison, I think, allegedly.
Rumours, just rumours.
Just rumours. So obviously a big announcement regarding Mr. Frank Warren going over to the Zone from April. So let's get your thoughts on it, Harrison, from a commercial perspective, but also from a competitive perspective. How do you think this deal is going to go down?
I mean, it feels terribly inevitable, doesn't it? I feel like we've been talking about this happening for quite some time. Not the whole worst kept secret in boxing thing, but this deal felt very eventual. We knew that obviously Frank Warren's deal with Discovery, as they're known now, is up now in the middle of next year, April, May time. It looked gradually as it was going further and further with no announcement that was going to be the home for Queensberry boxing going forward, that they were going to go to the zone. I think this can only be a good thing. I think for too long, the reason that we've been stalled, and especially with the domestic shows, which we'll get onto, the worst thing for all of that has been that we just haven't seen enough of them. And that's because of the promoters not being together. There's now no excuse. Under the same banner now in the UK, you're going to have Queensberry and Matchroom, and obviously GBM Sports, which we cover quite a bit of. All of those cards are going to be able to work alongside one another, and it can only be a good thing commercially. I hope they live up to the promise. That's my only worry, because quite a lot in the last year or two, we've been promised more and more UK shows. Queensberry were going to give us a slate of shows, I remember, in 2022, where they were going to put Friday night cards on YouTube. They did one and they stopped doing it. So there just needs to be a bit more consistency for the promoters, but it allows for, obviously, crossover fights. Obviously, Eddie and Frank are working together. So that being under one banner, we're probably going to get a boxing show every week on DAZN. So for people who are already subscribed, obviously that's a fantastic thing in my opinion. It's one less thing to be subscribed to as well. So I think it's a good move.
One other question, I've got a supplementary question that, I'll explain that supplementary if you need me to. Basically, do you think it's inevitable that Ben Shalom will join the little soiree over at DAZN?
If he behaves, I mean, he's probably the naughtiest of the kids, really, isn't he, at the minute, with the way that his antics have been over the last 3 to 6 months. I think his position depends on Sky's renewal. I have quite a lot of friends who work at Sky, and I know people, and the mumblings are that they're not going to get a renewed contract with Boxer in 2025. So if that's the case, and with other sports looking to possibly move from Sky to DAZN as well, like we talked about, the golf, the darts is inevitable. He's going to need to be on that same ship that leaves Sky. If he waits too long, or if he tries to go and find another domestic broadcaster, like switching to Discovery, I worry that's a bad move for him. So if he plays his cards right and he puts good shows on for the next 6 months, I think he will also end up on this DAZN bandwagon.
And last one from me, it obviously leaves a gap regarding TNT. Do you think they remain in boxing, or do you not think they remain in boxing?
I think they'll remain on boxing the same way I expect Sky to, where when the major shows are on, there will still be box office platforms there. Specifically with Discovery Plus, the reason I say that is because I don't know what numbers run now, the UFC 308, 309, something like that. We've had back-to-back shows that they've decided to put on box office because obviously the household names, the John Joneses of the world and the Max Holloways. So because that pay-per-view market still exists in the UK, when Tyson Fury fights, when Anthony Joshua fights, I think they'll still purchase sub-licenses from DAZN. But in terms of creating their own products, their own internals, I think that's close to deceased now for Discovery. It's very difficult to want to get back in the game.
Them TV rights could be very, very expensive, couldn't they, Harrison?
They could, yeah. I mean, we could see pay-per-view prices go even higher, which is ridiculous to think, because we're pretty much sitting on 25 quid as it is. So where's the stopgap? We'll wait and see.
Okay, cheers, Harrison. Come on to you, Sean. Good evening. Now I can actually hear you and see you.
Evening.
So,
Carl, just quickly, Daz is in the background, he said.
Okay, I'll bring Darren in. Just 1 minute.
Sorry.
No worries.
Evening, boys.
Evening.
Daz.
Evening, Daz.
Tell me someone hasn't got Christmas
Evening, Daz.
Christmas music in the background, please.
It's not me.
I do apologise. It's the doorbell.
Awful, Harrison. Awful. Okay, Sean, same question to you. Matchroom and Queens, we're going to DAZN. Give us your thoughts on that first, and whether you think Ben Shalom is inevitably going to be going over to DAZN anytime soon.
Yeah, well, as Harrison said, really, it's good for us boxing fans that have DAZN at present, because it's more shows and one less thing to subscribe to. But the only worry I have about this is if it all becomes one sort of big monopoly on DAZN, is really, do we get the same kind of value as what we get at present? I know that's sort of a bit of a strange thing to say, because you may say what value, but I think that could be the only concern for me. As regard to Ben Shalom, I don't think DAZN will want him, to be honest. I mean, Other than one or two fighters, he hasn't got an elite stable like Matchroom and Queensberry has. He hasn't particularly got any big household names fighters, in my opinion. So I think for the zone, they can either take or leave Ben Shalom, to be honest. I don't think it'll be any skin off their nose, to be honest.
Okay. And what about, do you see someone filling that gap at TNT, Sean?
Well, it's a possibility, but I guess it depends how committed they are to boxing. I mean, there's some great promoters that probably deserve a TV deal, but the problem for them is having household names which will bring the big numbers in. So I guess there's a possibility, but it just all depends then in the background with TNT. If they lose sort of the Premier League rights, for example, it's going to be a big hole for them to even considerably think if they'll remain in sport broadcasting.
They do quite like to build boxing profiles, though, don't they? They've done it a lot with Frank, haven't they? So,
Yeah, that's probably the saving grace for them, really. When you look at their names now, I guess Hamza Shiraz is probably a big example. Not many casual fans would have known who he was 18 months, 2 years ago. And because of the work of BT and Frank Warren, he's arguably becoming a household name now, especially with Riyadh season.
Yeah. Cheers, Sean. Move on to Daz Ashton. I know we covered this a little bit on Sunday, Daz, but a couple of more days to digest it. A little bit more information coming out every day, to be honest. Same question to you. Give us your thoughts on whether you think Ben Shalom's going to end up going over to join the party.
Well, yeah, we was obviously live on air Sunday when this news come out, so we had a chat about it. And the thing is, for me, like, we needed a few clarifications with things, and from what we're being told now, there's not going to be a price increase from April when the deal takes place. Whether I take that as gospel, I don't know, because I wouldn't be surprised still if there was one. But, you know, some people will be sucked in by that. I will take it with a pinch of salt, but I'll be very happy if that was the case.
Remember, Dad, this is the platform that said pay-per-view is dead.
Yeah, and this is also the platform where Frank Warren said it was dead zone. So, you know. The other clarification, which I'm not totally sure about, like Eddie Hearn saying about, was it 16 shows next year in the UK? But does that mean his shows, or does that mean cross-promotional shows as well?
We're going to cover that next, Daz, hopefully. So, yeah.
Okay, like that's the unclear thing. But I think it's a very, very good thing for boxing. I think it will help the British scene. Frank and Eddie are already on the same page, saying there won't be no shows now that will clash. Yeah, so I'm happy with that. I can only think positive things about it. If they keep the price relatively good as well, I'm happy with that. Ben Shalom, I kind of feel like this isn't looking like as a business brand here, but I kind of feel like he enjoys being the villain a little bit and like on his own to go against Frank and Eddie. But the way it's been, I think
he sees himself as a disruptor. That's the word I'd use. He likes to be a bit of a disruptor.
Yeah, disruptor. So, but that's obviously not thinking business wise. So you'd be a fool to think if he got an offer from DAZN, a very good one, he'd not take it to stay with Sky if they offered better. But I just think with him that I agree with Sean a little bit that they haven't got a fantastic stable, really. Would DAZN want them? Would I rule it out the way the last 12 months or so has gone? No, because they'll probably all end up being friends again. But that doesn't keep things spicy, does it, with the fans? I think the fans like it when they're not all the best of friends. And as regards TNT with boxing, I also agree with Sean with this. I think you need the household names on the UK scene for TNT to have a successful product. And I know you can build people, but it takes people like Queensberry and Frank Warren and the Eddie Hearns to build those names. And I know TNT is a good platform, but are you going to have people tuning in when you haven't got the household names on these smaller hall promotion shows?
And it's interesting from a DAZN business perspective. If I'm paying God knows how much to get Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren and Oscar De La Hoya onto my platform, if TNT and my competitors want to air my fights, I'm going to charge them a premium. Right?
Absolutely, yeah, of course. There's a lot to think about, but I don't know. With Ben Shalom, I just wouldn't rule them out all being the best of friends in the end. And boxing is all very successful. And we all get what we wanted, and they all do the cross-promotional, co-promotional shows and all that. But I don't really think Ben Shalom's stable is one of them where Eddie and Frank and like DAZN would look at it and go, "Oh, we need to snap them up." I just don't think they're there at the minute. I really don't.
Yeah. Okay, cheers, Daz. Coming on to Orkan. Good evening, Orkan.
Good evening, Carl.
So obviously you're a winner regarding this deal because obviously you had problems getting, was it TNT couldn't get in Scandinavia?
TNT is just the UK, so.
Yeah, so you're a bit of a winner on this one then, because you'll be able to view more boxing with Frank Warren coming over to DAZN. So give us your thoughts.
I think this is great. I believe we could see 30 Queensberry Matchroom shows next year. So I think it will be increase of shows from Queensberry when they joining DAZN and Matchroom. Eddie Hearn has said that it will be their plan is 16 shows next year.
Yeah. So
in the UK.
Yeah. So I'll just cover this off quickly, and then we won't go to it as a separate topic. So obviously Matchroom come out and said there'll be 16 UK shows. Eddie Hearn's talking about Glasgow, Stoke, and Belfast, and he's talking about doing one in London early 2025 and possibly bringing back the prize fighter model as well. So obviously he's got some I like the prize fighter model. I think it's a good addition. So I'll just box that off there. Thank you all, Cam. Coming to Mr. Medcart next. So we touched on this Sunday, Dad. You've had a couple of more days to digest it. So similar to what I asked the other guys, what are your thoughts? What does this mean for boxing? Do you think Ben Shalom will tottle over to DAZN? And any more thoughts on who you think might put the boxing on TNT?
Yeah, listen, I can't really add any more to what everyone said. Pretty much agree with everything they've said. I do think Shalom could probably trot along to TNT. I also think he could go to DAZN. It's just the time will tell. You know, we can speculate all we want. It's just we'll see in time. But you know, I think it's great for boxing. Great.
If you had to put your last pound on it, Daz, where did Shalom? What did he do? Did he stay or did he stick in or twist?
I mean, I suppose if he wants to try and build something himself, he'll trot to TNT, won't he? So yeah, I'll probably say that I'd favour that a little bit more than him going with the other two.
Okay. Moving on then, guys. I'm keen to get through these topics tonight. There's quite a few. This one I'll bring Medcalf in first because he's a big fan. So obviously we've heard about Conor Benn being back. Frank Warren's not sure that UCAD and British Boxing Board of Control have licensed Ben yet. I know there's all this fanfare that he's back and he's cleared and etc. etc. I'm not quite sure we're where we need to be yet. I'll come to Daz first on this. There's a lot of facets to this, isn't there, Dad? There's a lot of moving parts. So give us your thoughts on, you know, will he get out? Has he been cleared? And will he get out sooner rather than later?
And don't swear because there's kids watching.
It just thingies to me about that he's had a silent ban. He served a silent ban.
Ern said he hasn't. I
was just going to come to that.
Yeah.
But then Eddie Hearn said that he hasn't had a silent ban. Listen, we all know what boxing promoters are like. You know, Eddie Hearn is going to twist the truth and bend it a little bit and, you know, bandage over a few things so it suits the narrative. I think the fact we've got to look at, and the way I'm looking at it, is Conor Benn was caught cheating. Simple as that. There's no logical explanation for him having what he had in his system other than it was to mask a cycle of steroids, performance-enhancing drugs. You know, he's back. No matter what I say or what I think, he's going to get paydays, he's going to get fights, he's going to get publicity. So, listen, I'm looking at it like this. Conor Benn off the for performance enhancing drugs, if I can get it out, is a bang average fighter who's going to get found out.
Does just
So-
bring you back to the decision. If this association have cleared him, don't you think Conor Benn might drag the BBOC in UK down the legal route for loss of earnings, defamation of character, blah blah?
Well, if it was really the case, then yeah, he would. But I sort of doubt that he's going to do that because I think he's been on a silent ban.
Right.
And that's it. But Conor Benn's he's going to fight. He's going to fight in high-profile fights. But I just hope that he gets put in with people who are very good.
Well, it's calling them sort of people out, isn't it?
Yeah, listen, and feed him to him. Because listen, let's be honest, Conor Benn off of PEDs is a bang average fighter. The knockouts he scored, I actually at the time thought, yeah, you know what, he's progressing. It's all coming together for him now.
And he used to talk about that trajectory, didn't he? Do you remember what?
I mean, you were right as well. Yeah, you were right. I mean, listen, who else did it? I mean, nobody else expected that for him to be, get caught on them. But I mean, he scored knockouts of Van Heerden in Algeria, and Van Heerden's come out and said he's never been hit that hard in his life, and he's shown nothing in his earlier career. Shown nothing. I mean, look what he's done in the fights he's had since. It looks like he can't break an egg. Do you know what I mean?
Don't mention eggs.
Yeah. I didn't even realise.
Why do I feel the need to say the word allegedly somewhere within this sentence?
No, you don't need to say the word allegedly. He's a fucking cheat. It's that simple. Do you know what I mean? Excuse my French viewers of Last Bell Boxing, but it was, look at the fights he's had since.
Yeah.
Come punch an hole in rice paper. He's gone from basically being
a killer.
And this is how I see it, and this is no disrespect to Campbell Hatton. He's gone from being Campbell Hatton to Julian Jackson, and then like, I don't know, not even an area level fighter. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, obviously the PEDs worked, but listen, he's going to fight. Like I've said, he's going to fight. He's going to get paid a lot of money. I just hope that he gets put in with an Enis or someone like that, and then just troddles off into the sunset. Goes back to Australia and plays with kangaroos or something.
All right, cheers, Daz. Coming on to Orkan next. Orkan, I don't know how you're going to follow that, but give us your thoughts, brother.
I believe he has serving a silent ban. Tomorrow is 2 years anniversary of the fight. 2022. So that's what I believe. It has been a silent ban.
Okay.
I mean, if it hadn't been a silent ban, why have Conor been cleared just 2 years anniversary of the fight? So I believe it has been a silent ban.
Thank you, Orkan. Coming on to Daz Ashton. Daz, you've been very vocal in your opinion of Conor Benn as well during all this time. So, here we go again. Give us your thoughts.
Well, we say a silent ban. He did fight once in 2023 and he did fight once earlier on this year. So he has still sort of like, for a silent ban, he has still been active, really.
Not in this territory though, right, Daz?
Yeah, but obviously in America. The whole thing for me, like as regards Daz, pretty much hit the nail on the head. Like he failed drugs tests, and there's no beating around that. He failed. So what else can you go by? But what I don't want to happen now is, like we've had before, there's sort of like a path of he's sort of like he's going to be fighting again. Then the British board, we're looking at our routes of appeal. and then there's going to be another appeal, and then this appeal is going to go to another appeal. If he's going to be cleared, let's not let the damn thing go on for another year. Like, it's just back and forth constantly. Like Hawkan said, 2 years now, and we're still at a stage where a bit of light at the end of the tunnel comes for him, and then the board are saying, "Oh no, we're still looking at routes of appeal now." There's got to be some kind of conclusion somewhere. But I've got an opinion that I think the Eubank Ben fight is the aim, but I do think it'll be in Saudi. So it could be a case again of if the board doesn't allow Ben to fight here, they'll get some sort of kind of license to go abroad, and he'll get cleared to fight abroad. And I think that's what will probably happen. But it just needs completely clearing up. And he's not the first to fail drugs tests and come back. It's rife in the sport, and it shouldn't be allowed. But there just needs to be some kind of clearance now, or he's banned for life. That's what I think that should happen. But I do believe it will see Eubank and Ben in Saudi.
Do you know? Just to jump in, do you know what I think's done it with him as well? Is his whole attitude. His whole attitude throughout this.
I agree.
Because he's come across as an absolute knobhead. Do you know what I mean? He's been an arrogant dickhead in
I agree.
all.
But today, though, Darren, today we should have had Robert Smith coming out today and clearing this up from a border control perspective and showing some real leadership.
Well, he was meant to
be with the ball.
Well, thing is, though, right? Thing is that I agree with you on that, but that's up to Robert Smith, right? We're not on about Robert Smith here. We're on about Conor Benn.
But he would have gave the 5 fans clarity. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, he was
meant to go on Talk Sport. He was meant to be on Talk Sport today, but apparently his meetings dragged on and he weren't able to go. So again,
7 hours long.
I know it's BS. I know.
Listen, I've got to be very careful what I say about the boxing board. But I think we're in this position because of Conor Benn.
Yes,
we're in it because of Conor Benn, not because of Robert Smith.
The only point I'm making that he didn't cover himself in glory. I've got nothing against.
Listen. I agree with that. It'd be daft not for me not to agree with that. I do agree with that. But through all this, Conor Benn has acted like an absolute knob. He's like some entitled little spoiled rat. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, mate, you've been caught. And do you know what? And I've said it before on the show. I've got a couple of pals who are professional bodybuilders. Yeah. And as soon as that come out, they were straight on the phone to me saying, he's been on cycles. And I went, why, what's that? And they said, listen, one of them even said, I use that. I use the exact same thing to master the cycle.
Right.
You are right. You are right as well, Daz. Like 100% since he come back. Well, he had them 2 fights back, one in 2023, one this year. His power was nothing like how it was before, and that's facts. We can all see that.
Take your earring. Go along to the border control area and take your medicine.
There's a video on. He's put on today or from yesterday. He's on body belt and pads with Tony Sims, and he's letting loose on them pads, and you could see him putting everything in. Can't break an egg, mate. Mm. You can see that there's no power. Even on pads, it's in body belt. It's like he's lost that power.
Yeah.
And then do you know what? He's an absolute disgrace to his name. He's an absolute disgrace to his dad because his dad went through absolute. Listen, his dad went to hell and back. In that ring, many, many times. Do you know what I mean? And Nigel, and you'll never expect Nigel to come out and say, Conor's done bad. Listen, he's his son. He's his son. Do you know what I mean? He could run 10 people over and Nigel will still love him. But at the end of the day, the fact of the matter is he's got juiced. He realised he's not going to do what his dad achieved. He's tried to do it with some help. He's been caught. He's not held his hands up. He's cried like a little girl and whinged and said, you're all out to get me and all this. Now he's going on social media calling everyone names, calling Tank names, Eubank names, everything.
Why is he still saying as well? Why is he? I know Eubank, he's got his faults and everything, but why? And Liam Smith stopped him, but Why is he still saying he'll take Eubank in 3 rounds? He keeps saying about these 3 rounds, 3 rounds.
Mate,
He's
do you
not
know
going to
what,
stop
though?
Eubank in 3
Do you
rounds.
know what situations like this do, though? Situations like this turn people like me, people and other people, trainers who have got a lot of morals, whatever you want to call it, they turn us into hypocrites. Because what if I'd have got a welterweight like middleweight, and he gets offered £1 million to fight Conor Benn?
Yeah.
So how can I say to that fighter then, when we're fighting him, he's a roid, he's drug cheat?
Daz, let me bring Sean in. So Sean, give us your thoughts, fella. Again, I'm not sure how you're gonna follow all that, but over to you.
Yeah, there isn't too much I can add to what the guys have said, to be honest. I mean, I agree with virtually everything. I did bump into him in Australia, funnily enough. I was doing a bit of landscaping for the company that I work for, and it was 2 or 3 houses away from where Nigel lives. So I did have a brief conversation with him, and I got the impression he was almost offended that people called him a cheat. I mean, he was just in complete disbelief, to be honest. And I just believe he thinks this way because his surname, really. He thinks he's above boxing, unfortunately, because of who his dad is. So now he's been caught and he's been proven to have cheated, in my opinion. He just believes he's so entitled that he can just waltz his way into the big fights, waltz his way to a world title. He's deluded, if I'm being honest. And I think, to be honest, I'm looking forward to him getting knocked out, even if it's at central level, because he's not really any good, in my opinion.
Comment in the sidebar, which just made me smile. And that guy, great comment. It takes a special kind of guy to get a country behind Eubank Jr.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Do you know the thing is, though? I mean, Eubank Jr.'s shot to pieces, isn't it? I mean, so let's not dress the fact up that if Conor fights Eubank Jr., Eubank Jr. is going to steamroller him, because Eubank Jr. is not, he's not there. So could even turn Eubank Jr. over, because Eubank Jr. is shot to bits. But let's, if he's going to fight, let's have it. Listen, that's the money fight, obviously. But listen, give him some of these people who he's calling names to on Twitter. Give him what he wants.
But what would they do, though? Try and get him to beat a shot to piece Eubank, build his name more, then go for them guys? Is that
that's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to do. Yeah.
I'm just going to bring Harrison in. So Harrison, do you think Eddie Hearns is going to feed Ben to the elite fighters and cash out on him?
No, I don't think so. Purely because for as much torment as the last 2 years has been in the mind of Conor Benn, equally Eddie Hearn has had to put through quite a lot of significant back roll as well with him. Obviously, he has to take the brunt of a lot of what happened, especially if you remember this time 2 years ago. We were talking about like how the Luxembourg Border Commission were going to be sanctioning the fight because they were that desperate to get it on, because they packed out the O2 and it was going to be the biggest fight in British boxing for X amount of years. So I don't think he's going to give up on Conor Benn. I think they are going to try and get him into a position to be a better fighter than he has been in his recent fights, taken away from everything else that's been said there. He has underperformed in his last 2 fights, but maybe now with a clearer mind, we'll see a different version of Conor Benn. That kind of remains to be seen. The Chris Eubank fight won't happen next, I don't think. I think it's still, they're probably one more fight each away from that happening. I've always criticised Eubank's inactivity. Conor Benn's obviously been inactive for a different reason. So, that fight's going to happen and it's going to sell and it's going to be a huge event, I'm sure.
Saudi Arabia in February, Everton? Any takers?
I see. I just don't think it happens next, to be honest. I think there's too many barriers in the way at the minute. I believe more and more now that these fights can get made on a quicker scale. Like we've seen there, merely a week after Fury and Usyk finished, we were talking about the rematch. So I believe that capacity to get dates locked down is there. I just don't think the timing is right for either of them at the minute. If we went into that fight with Eubank only having fought once in the last 18 months in the build-up to that, Conor Benn's been off the boil, obviously, for a while. I just don't think the timing's right for that fight.
So what do you think, though? Do you think it's just coincidence now that it's come out that Conor Benn's cleared to fight with a February Saudi card being planned? Do you think it's a coincidence, or do you think he will go on the February card?
He'll go. I don't
Well,
know.
well,
Again.
Listening to everything that was said there, I've always found the timescale of this entire situation quite fascinating. Really, how we went from where we did 2 years ago to the WBC cleared him basically a year ago now, and we all kind of
You must
obviously
have been doing a paper round when this all started, Harrison.
May.
Yeah, you
No,
must have been doing a paper round.
I was still covering for you 2 years ago because you can't sort your internet out.
I thought you was getting winded, weren't you? I bet you're still getting winded when this all started.
You'd be surprised how long I've been doing this for now. We had that situation with the WBC a year ago, and obviously we have this now, which seems to be the end of the saga. I kind of hope it is. I'm as bored as anyone else listening to it.
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying, Darren, about the convenience of timing. It's 2 years since his ban finished. Oh, sorry, since he was suspended by the board. There's a card coming out in February. Like it all is like, ooh, how convenient, isn't it? But no, I still don't see that happening on the February card.
Do you think he's been serving some sort of ban, Harrison?
No, I don't think he's been serving a ban. See, I'm not in the far right sense that Daz and a couple of us are here about the way things have gone. I'm not defending him either. I'm kind of I don't really know what to make of the whole situation, to be honest. I hate how publicly it was all handled, which maybe raises more suspicion about how sincere or how genuine this apology that's come out from Conor Benn actually has been over the last 2 years. But likewise, you were talking there about Robert Smith. He's not put a flower arrangement in place very well for himself either, has he? I think that he's probably been too involved in this publicly as well. So the whole case for me is a big, massive mess. Did Ben cheat? Who knows? Obviously, some people are set in the mind that he did. Others believe the apologies that have come out. I'm a little bit in the middle, to be honest. I really just don't know what to make of it, but I just hope this is the last we're talking about it.
Yeah, just to close this topic off, I'd really want Robert Smith to be coming out with some kind of official statement tomorrow. Just to show a bit of teeth. I'm not looking at any comments on the back of that. Let's move on.
Just before you move on,
yeah,
if Conor was cleared of any wrongdoing by this, what is it? You, Cad, who's cleared him?
The NADP.
Not them. It wouldn't have took 2 years. The money Conor generates as a fighter, it wouldn't have took 2 years to clear him.
And the money he spent on his defence as well.
It would have been cleared a lot quicker than 2 years. He's been serving a silent. Listen, I've been in boxing a long time. He's been serving a silent ban. Simple as that. Why would it be 2 years? You know what I mean? That it takes. It wouldn't. If he was going to be cleared, if he'd done nothing wrong and was going to be cleared, it would have been cleared within 6 months.
And they'd be straight in court for loss of earnings. Definitely.
Big time.
Think about his profile and what his purses are worth, etc., etc. If you cut off at the knees, you'd be straight in court. But anyway, moving on, guys. So, AJ says a big no to Daniel Dubois for the rematch. Frank Warren confirmed today he's not going to be Anthony Joshua next for Daniel Dubois. So I want a quick round robin on this one with basically who you think is going to jump in. We're expecting an announcement tomorrow by all accounts from Frank Warren. I'll throw my 10 penny in first. I think it's Joe Parker. So I'll go to Harrison first. Harrison, why no from AJ? And who's next?
I think there's a very good chance all five of us agree with you here. I think it should be and will be Joseph Parker. Obviously has nice links in with Tyson Fury, so it's a very easy fight to make as well. He deserves the shot most, I think, out of everybody in the last year and a half of people who progressed. Just quickly on the AJ situation, this is a gamble. This to me feels like they're really gambling on Usyk beating Fury, because if Fury beats Usyk, that trilogy, that 4 fight, that could go on for a long old while, and then Joshua has shut himself out of the picture in the world scene, because what's to say that if Dubois goes and beats Parker in February, which I'm sure many people would predict, who's Joshua going to fight? He beat Parker, so yeah, big risk this, but interesting to see how it plays out.
Sean, coming to you, same questions, fella.
Yeah, I think it will be either Joe Parker or Caballero, to be honest. And for AJ, if he is genuinely injured, then that's fair enough. But I agree with Harrison. It's a big gamble if he's waiting on the Fury Usyk decision.
Thank you very much. I like the way this is short and swift. Daz Ashton, coming to you next, fella.
Yeah, I think like the guys have said, I think well deserved, and I think it will be Joseph Parker, and I think it's a very, very tough fight for Daniel Dubois. I think it's a genuine 50-50 fight. About the AJ thing, I think with him, they're looking like if Usyk beats Fury, they still want to fight Fury. If Fury beats Usyk, Turki Al-Sheikh actually said he still wants to make Tyson Fury and AJ. So I don't think Joshua will be shut out. I think he will get a big fight next summer, and I think it will be against Tyson Fury, whatever way it comes. But
do you think that's at Wembley, Daz? Riyadh season.
I think it would have to be for the sake of the British fans, but I wouldn't rule it out being in Saudi. But say Tyson Fury wins the belts and makes a voluntary defence against Anthony Joshua. To think Anthony Joshua gets another crack is hard to take, really, because he does not deserve it. But I think that's what they're holding out for. And I think either way, they can get Tyson Fury for belts or no belts. I think that's what they're planning.
Okay. Orkan, coming to you, same question.
Quickly, Joseph Parker at the February 22nd. And I think it will be Fury Joshua in the summer.
Okay, thank you very much.
I leave now.
No worries, cheers. So, Coach Medcar, bit of a different question to you. AJ's going to be a bit pissed into that he ain't jumping in this rematch, surely, because he surely wants to right that wrong.
I don't know, does it?
It's a strange one, though. I know if it's injured, fair enough, but he's in danger of being frozen out.
I don't think he'll ever be frozen out while ever Turkey loves him and wants him, wants to see him v Tyson. So I think he'll be all right. I just think that Parker deserves that fight, doesn't he? Let's be right.
He does.
So I don't think Anthony's ever going to be frozen out. To be honest, everyone, they want to see him in with Fury. If he's in, is he injured at the minute?
That's what we've been reported.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think he'll ever be frozen out. I just think it's. I'm not overly sure that he wants to go back in with Daniels, to be fair, but he might want to take another route because that were
he calls the shots, don't he? Let's have it right. He calls the shots.
To be fair, mate, it were a bit of an hammering he took, weren't it?
Yeah, what I mean is if he wanted that rematch bad enough, he calls the shots and it would happen, right?
Yeah, you'd have thought so. Yeah, you'd have thought so, yeah. But no, I think we'll see him in with Fury, regardless whether Fury beats Usyk or not.
Right, fair enough. And then last topic of the evening. So Eddie Earns mentioned a 5 versus Golden Boy. And he reeled off a few fights. I don't know if you've all seen the fights that he mentioned.
I've not seen them.
So he's talking about Boots Enis versus Ryan Garcia. Kerr Stevenson versus Jose Cepeda. Madrimov versus Virgil Ortiz. Opataya versus Gilberto Ramirez. And Jack Catterall versus Jose Ramirez. So I'm just going to come around and get your thoughts on. I don't expect you to go for every fight, but who wins? And I'd be interested for you to tell me what score you think it would be. So,
Carl, I'm going to have to shoot off now. Okay, sorry.
No worries. I'll come to Harrison first. So, Harrison, simple question: who wins and by what score for if that was to take place?
There's some really good fights in there, to be fair.
It's not as straightforward as people are suggesting, is it?
No, I reckon the census is that most people think that's just a sweep for Matchroom, but it's really not. there's some really, really good fights, and there's some close fights as well. Like even Catterall Ramirez is difficult to pick out. The Enis Garcia one's not going to happen. What's that? £12? There's no way that happens. I know Ryan Garcia trains considerably bigger. Like he trains as a £140 fighter these days.
Never say never in today's world.
No, I know, but that is one you can probably.
It's some swing into it.
That's a big fight because that is going to sell its own monster pay-per-view in the States in a year's time anyway. So why would you have a headline in a card like this? I think Matchroom win, but it is close. It could even be as close as 3-2, to be honest, because I think Ramirez could probably beat Catterall. I see Zepeda's got a chance. He's a good fighter. There's some really good ones in there, but then Shakur Stevenson, obviously, superstar boy. He's top 5 pound for pound on the planet. So I think Matchroom scave it just. I'll go 3-2 probably.
Okay, that's close. Sean, coming to you. Give us your predictions and what you think the overall score will be.
Yeah, like Harrison just touched on there's some great fights. If they were to happen, I agree about Enis and Garcia. I think the weight's just too big, unfortunately. But I think Matchroom win 4-1. The only one I see losing is Jack Catterall, to be honest. And I know he had a good win the other week, but I'm still unconvinced by him, to be honest. So I
know, but Sean, we keep saying that, don't we? When he keeps winning.
yeah.
Like Chris Phillips-Smith, I've been saying for 2 years that he's bang average and he's going to get beat, and he keeps proving me wrong.
Yeah. I've said it about a fair few over the years, to be honest. But I just think with Catterall, there's just something that I'm not on board with. I can't really pinpoint it. As you say, he keeps proving us wrong. But we will be right one time, Carl, I'm sure. But I think it'll be 4-1 to Matchroom.
4-1. So just out of interest, who picks a win up for Golden Boy?
Well, I think Catterall loses. So that would be the one there.
Okay, and coming to Coach Medcalf last, same question, Daz.
Read them out to me again.
So Boots Enis versus Ryan Garcia.
Enis.
Shakur Stevenson versus Jose Cepeda.
See that's a really interesting. Really, really interesting because
good fight.
That is the ultimate clash of
technical blokes.
Zepeda's he's just relentless, isn't he?
Come on, who are you going for?
Mate, honestly, it's a tough one that. I mean, I'd probably have to stick with Shakur, but that is very, very, very fragile.
Madrimov versus Virgil Ortiz.
I might go with Virgil Ortiz on that,
Opetaya versus Gilberto Ramirez.
Opetaya.
And Catterall versus Jose Ramirez.
See, I'm thinking to pick against Catterall at times because he's that negative, he's effective. Do you know what? I'm going to give Catterall a bit of faith, and I'm going to pick Catterall over Ramirez.
Are he gone again?
Think so.
This man can't keep his Wi-Fi going for 5 minutes. It's a shame actually because I wanted to see what he was gonna pick there. Do you know what? Just before he comes back in, because the Stevenson Ramirez fight's the big one for me, Daz. Because I could see you were thinking about it there.
Stevenson, Cepeda.
Cepeda, sorry, not Ramirez. That's one of those, like, if Cepeda puts enough pressure on, he'd be the one that could probably beat Shakur Stevenson out of everybody around those divisions. Shakur would have to be bang on all night, wouldn't he?
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, mate. To be fair, it's
a really, really good fight, that one.
I mean, the guy's relentless, isn't he?
Yeah. He don't stop.
He's got Tevin Farmer next, hasn't he?
I think so, yeah.
I'm just looking. He's got Tevin Farmer next.
That'll be Farmer coming back up the weights as well, won't it? Because he obviously campaigned. I think he was a featherweight world champion at one stage, and he's gradually come up. So that'll be a good fight. That.
So was it 4-1 in the end then, Daz, before I dropped
Yeah,
out?
I don't know, Warwick.
Think so.
You got an Ennis to win,
Yeah,
Kerr Stevenson to
yeah,
win, Opataya to win,
yeah,
and did you pick Captrell in the end?
yeah.
So 4, yeah, you've only got Virgil Ortiz winning from Golden Boy then, so 4-1.
Right. Yeah.
So that's similar to Sean. So
What about you?
guys, anything else you want to cover before while my Wi-Fi's working and we're on here?
Yeah, what have you gone for?
So I'll be honest, clean sweep for Matchroom.
God, I knew you'd be one of them. Did you not learn from the Queensbury 5v5?
Clean sweep for Matchroom, yeah. I'm an Eddie fanboy, believe in the hype.
Thing is though, we've just been saying while you've been off. It's one of them fights, Zepeda v Shakur Stevenson. As good as Shakur Stevenson is, we would not be surprised to see Zepeda win that.
I'm a massive Shakur fan.
Yeah, I am. But Zepeda, if Zepeda's the proper real deal,
I like Zepeda, but I just think Shakur's just a bit special.
Yeah, I mean, but they both could end up special.
I'm still going for Shakur.
I am. I've gone for him, but just razor thin.
Yeah, that would be something like that. That's a headliner, right? It don't belong.
Yeah. That's
That's Vegas. That is.
Yeah.
Cracking fight that. That's get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to watch it on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Some people still moan about the technical aspect of the fight, though. Believe, wouldn't there? Just because someone's not getting absolutely cleaned out, you'd have people moaning.
Well, I mean, Shakur technically is unreal, but Zepeda, he's aggressive, come forward, power puncher, puts pressure on. But he does it in a clever way. He's not like a Ricardo Mayorga, outside the bar at 3 a.m.
There is one last thing I want to bring up, Mr. Metcalf, because you've been quite cryptic on social media regarding Nicola Oatwell's pending fight in February.
Yeah.
I know you can't say too much, but do you want to just give us a quick overview of the date and as much as you can, really?
Yeah, February 22nd at Skate Central. And I think it could be a big one.
So that's, I don't want to push anymore, but I'm intrigued.
Listen,
it's not
all I'll say is if what's in the plans comes off, then I'd much appreciate it if you guys could push it, get everyone to get a ticket. If someone wants to come to the fight, bring them along. Buy a ticket. Do you know what I mean?
Or maybe Harrison and Sean get themselves down to Sheffield.
Yeah. So
up to Sheffield.
Hopefully, it's going to be a big one.
Me and Sean are that south. We're going to have to leave today if we want to be there. But no, absolutely, and I'd love to cover that card as well. So I've not been to the skate centre yet, so
I haven't either.
Be nice to get up.
Yeah. What's it like, Daz, in the arena?
Yeah, it's all right. It's quite cozy. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it's all right. It's one of them. It's your standard tickets are like you're on like rows at back, but listen. It's one of them. I'm not going to fucking bullshit and say it's like as good as Skate Central and all that. Do you know what I mean? But from every seat that you sat in, you've got a view.
Is it the York Hall of Sheffield then, where it's all small and quaint and good atmosphere gets built? Yeah,
I mean, I think that's fair. You've probably got same sort of views. It's pretty much every seat in York Hall I've found, you've got a decent view.
Yeah.
And it's not like you two gets even mildly excited over upcoming fight as much as you have done for this one. So I suggest when you say it's a potential big one, it could be a potential big one.
Yeah, it's potentially a big fight for her.
And it's good to see Dennis Hobson, putting his money where his mouth, if you want a better phrase. It must be refreshing for you as a coach to have a promoter doing a promoter's job.
Yeah, exactly. He's Dennis. I think Dennis liked what he saw. So, and I've been seeing that for ages. But yeah, she actually, she showed it. So the thing is, the next fight, I'm hoping that she goes up levels again, and she'll need to if this fight comes off. So
brilliant. Well, we look forward to hearing about this fight when it gets made public, and then we can delve a little bit more into it when the time's right. Okay, Harrison, thank you for holding the fort when my Wi-Fi has been a nightmare. Much appreciated. Sean, thank you for joining the show, fella.
Thanks.
Dad, thanks for joining straight after work. It's appreciated. Thank you to Wolfgang and Darren. This has been Last World Boxing, proudly sponsored by LW Liftings and SC Travel. We go live again Sunday, where we do a review show. So it's likely to be the Philadelphia card that we're reviewing. Like, comment, subscribe, put your comments in the comments box below, and we will see you Sunday at 6 p.m. Thank you very much.